Well, hello. If you see my draft recap, I took something for my allergies this time, so hopefully I'll be a little less sniffly. But anyway, we're here with week one of the Prismatic Draft League Season 4, the Halifax Masquerainmen hoping to make a strong start to the season. But it's going to be tough because we have a scary opponent this round. It's someone new to the league, so I don't really know how they're going to play, how they're going to use their team, but people making tier lists of the teams in this league have consistently had this team, the San Antonio Swellows, right at the top, and there's a good reason for that. It's got a really solid structure to it. So, I mean, if you know VGC at all, you know what we were looking at here. It's a Sunroom team. Torkoal, so that's Sun. It hits hard with Eruption. It's also just extremely strong in Trick Room because it's one of the slowest Pokemon in the game. Let's actually go through what they have. So we got Torkoal, Cinderace, Lilligant, Zoroark, Squawkabilly. I think they get every form of Squawkabilly. I'm not 100% certain. Rotom in its regular form, Meowth, Mudsdale, Frogadier, Farigiraf, and Skiploom. So Torkoal, it's bulky, it hits hard with Sun Boosted Eruption, it's extremely slow so it plays well in Trick Room, but obviously if you know VGC, you know it also plays extremely well next to Lilligant, because with Chlorophyll, Lilligant is extremely fast in Sunlight, and it gets after you so that Torkoal can get off Eruption before most other things. Cinderace is an enormous threat in Sunlight. It's honestly the Pokemon that I'm most worried about in this matchup. I don't know that I've prepared enough for it. We'll get into that. Its Pyro Balls are going to hurt things. And of course it gets Libero and some strong physical coverage. It's fast, it hits hard. Cinderace is the giant threat of this team in my view. They also have another Chlorophyll abuser in Skiploom. Skiploom gets some of the same support options as Jumpluff, like Sleep Powder, some of the same support options as Lilligant, like Sleep Powder, Stun Spore, etc. It also gets Tailwind. Farigiraf is their Trick Room setter. They actually didn't draft Farigiraf. Originally, Gallade was their Trick Room setter, and I felt a little better about that, but they made a free agent trade already. And Farigiraf is, again, well-known in VGC, one of the best Trick Room setters. It also blocks priority with Armor Tail if you choose to run that ability. It can get off some strong attacks like Hyper Voice. And they've paired that with not only Torkoal, but they've also paired it with Mudsdale, which is sort of a classic Trick Room threat. You don't see it much in Regulation D, but it's strong, it's very slow, it can boost up its defense, it can fire off ground attacks, it gets body press. It's another Pokemon to take seriously in a Trick Room situation. Building out around that, they have Meowth for not a bad support Pokemon. Persian is actually quite good in these draft formats. I don't know how Meowth is going to do. It obviously has lower stats, but it gets Fake Out, it gets probably like Icy Wind and Snarl. I think Persian gets those. Persian gets Switcheroo. Meowth probably gets something like that. Meowth can actually do a fair bit. I think it's very solid for an untiered Pokemon. And then, if you look at the rest of the team, Frogadier, I don't know that Frogadier is that strong, but it gives them some water type stuff. It gives them another, Pokemon that can change its type offensively. I shouldn't completely sleep on it, I don't think. Squawkabilly, I'm not that familiar with. I know it gets Intimidate. I'm pretty sure it gets Parting Shot. It might be another Tailwind setter. Rotom, regular form, is actually kind of a nice disruptive Pokemon. It's a Mon that I really enjoyed using in my Gen 7 singles draft days, and I doubt it holds up as well now as it did then, but it's a little bit faster than the Appliance forms, and it can do sneaky Ghost-type stuff. It gets Will-O-Wisp, it gets Trick, I'm pretty sure. Maybe it doesn't anymore, I don't know. But, it gives them an electric type to round out their team, and some interesting support options. And then we have the other Zoroark, right? So, I built my team out around Hisui and Zoroark, and this is kind of a rival battle right off the bat. Like, I'm stepping out of Professor Oak's lab, and my rival challenges me on the way out, because they have the other Zoroark, which can disrupt what I want to do in many of the same ways as my Zoroark. It's a little bit slower than Hisui and Zoroark. It has the type matchup advantage, but the main thing is both of us have Illusion Mind games available to us in this set. I don't know if I'll go into that much detail on every opponent, but, this is a strong team with some tried and true structures to it, so I might as well go through everything, right? But that said, it was an interesting one to prepare for, because I actually think that I have a decent matchup into Sunroom. I have a lot that I can conceivably throw at it, but it was kind of hard to narrow down my options. There were like 9 different Pokemon on my team that I felt like I could bring to this. And even now, I'm probably playing in like an hour. I've never really stopped second guessing. It's especially bothering me that I haven't put Quillfish on my team, because Quillfish is probably the best answer that I have to Cinderace. And without it, I can tell you I've done a lot of damage calcs, and it doesn't look good for my team if Cinderace gets going in Sun. I thought about putting Quillfish over Blissey. I thought about putting Quillfish over Hisui and Zoroark. I'll get into why I didn't, but let's dive into the team. And right away, the first thing I noticed, looking over my opponent's team, is that Terra Grass Flash Fire Flareon looks pretty strong in this matchup. Like, a typical Torkoal set with fire coverage, ground coverage, maybe a grass coverage is not doing much into this. A typical Lilligant is not doing much into this. Now, I had Lilligant last season, and I was running, like, Terra Rock sometimes. So that could be a little more dangerous, but if I think that I'm likely to Terrastalize Flareon in a given game, the matchup into Lilligant is probably pretty strong, right? Terra Grass, of course, makes it immune to things like Sleep Powder and Stun Spore, which also means Skiploom isn't doing a whole lot to it. Terra Grass gives it the advantage against unterrastalized Mudsdale, making it resist ground attacks and making it strong into ground attacks. It's immune to Pyro Ball with Flash Fire. It doesn't perfectly answer everything on their team. Any half-decent draft team will not have a perfect answer like that, but Flareon looks very, very strong here. And given what I said about Flareon being a guts attacker, and that being the first thing that stood out to me when I drafted it, anyone else looking at it, they might think the same thing. I don't know. Again, I don't know what my opponent is like as a player, but I think there's a chance that they won't be expecting Flash Fire Flareon. Since I'm not running Guts, I also didn't feel obligated to make it a physical attacker. So I went with a Calm Mind set. Hopefully I can boost up in the face of things that can't do much back, like Torkoal, like Lilligant, Skiploom, maybe Mudsdale, depending on the set. I kind of wanted to fit Will-O-Wisp in here somewhere, because their physical attackers are a little bit troublesome. But for this matchup, I decided I wanted Protect on every Pokemon. The reason being, I'm facing Sun and I'm facing Trick Room, and I could at any moment be in a situation where I badly want to stall those things out. I don't think it was really necessary to have Protect on every Pokemon. It might even be suboptimal, and if I face this team again in the playoffs, I might do something a little different. But that was the mindset that I had here in Week 1. So Flareon has Fire Stab, it has Grass Stab if I Terrastalize it, and I think I am likely to Terrastalize it in any game where I bring it. It was tricky to figure out where to put the leftovers on this team, with Uxie and Blissey also having good cases for it. But given that I had such a Flareon-focused game plan, at least in the situation where I load into Game 1 and I see a Sunroom team on the other side, that I figured this was the best bang for my buck. I don't know what my opponent's going to bring. I'm not when I play draft leagues, I don't like to try to guess what the opponent will bring. I tend to think it's better to try to cover for everything to the extent that you can. But with a team like this, it's entirely possible that I load into Game 1 and I see like Torkoal, Cinderace, Lilligant, Mudsdale, Farigiraf, and somebody else, right? They could go Sun, they could go Fast Sun, they can go Trick Room, they can go Trick Room Sun. That's why Sunroom is good. As a lead in Game 1, to try to cover that as best I can, I figured Flareon, it matches up so well into so much of that it's probably one of the Pokemon I want to lead with, assuming I see something like that on the other side of the game. And then the Pokemon I think I want to pair it with is Uxie. So, Uxie is here largely for Imprison Trick Room. Because, Flareon is so strong into their Sun modes, that I figured Trick Room was the thing that I needed to cover for in this other slot. Uxie is nice into Mudsdale because it gets Levitate, and it resists Body Press if I don't Terrastalize it. And next to Flareon, I probably don't. It's especially bulky to take on Farigiraf, so that Farigiraf can't just knock it out and get the Trick Room off anyway. I Again, I kind of wanted something to better cover for physical attackers. Like, I thought about putting Reflect on this set, but I decided to go Protect Everything. It's an experiment. We'll see how it goes. Mystical Power to give Yuxi a little bit of offense if I need it. Citrus Berry because Flareon took the leftovers. And yeah, it's just here to sit there and block one of the ways they might want to play. I ran Terra Fire on a lot of things this week because there are potentially a lot of fire and grass attacks coming from the other side. I did think about other Terra types at some points. Like, I thought about Fairy or Dark on Yuxi, and Blissey was Terra Ghost for a while, and I eventually switched it to Fire, but Fire seems like a solid play into a lot of what my opponent has. It makes things more vulnerable to Mudsdale. It makes things more vulnerable to Frogadier, although that's nerfed by their own son. But overall, I think it is a solid defensive play for this matchup. In that mode, where I lead Flareon and Yuxi into a Sunroom team, I probably have Blissey and Urshifu in the back. Blissey is just here to be a bulky support, right? It's here to sponge up hits from things like Torkoal and Lilligant again, and to give Yuxi or Flareon next to it a little bit more recovery. Helping Hand is here just... There weren't a ton of support options that I felt strongly about on Blissey in this set, which is a reason maybe I should have brought Quillfish over it. But, you know, it gives him a little more punch, gives him a little bit of recovery, Seismic Toss for good consistent damage, except on Rotom. I considered Counter. I originally intended to put Counter on this set, but then I actually ran Calcs against Cinderace, and it was hard to see a situation where Blissey was going to be able to do much with a counter. Blissey is probably going down if it faces Cinderace. And as I say that out loud, I'm again thinking about switching to Quillfish. Maybe I will before the game, though at this point I kind of doubt it. But, you know, I'm probably going to start the set with a bulky mode built around Flareon and Yuxi. So that little bit of staying power that they get next to Blissey. Man, I don't know. Maybe I will switch to Quillfish. Anyway, Blissey also gets Healer, so it can help its allies get rid of status problems, like from Lilligant or from Rotom or from Skiploom, if I fail to completely block those. And Rocky Helmet is here because, especially if I Terrastalize Blissey, I can maybe get Cinderace to go for a contact move into it, and get at least a little bit of chip that'll help me play around Cinderace later in the game. Urshifu is pretty straightforward here. It has Wicked Blow, Close Combat, Sucker Punch, and Detect. Terra Fire, I think in this case largely so that it can't be burned if I Terrastalize, although I do also have the Lumberry to help with that. I kind of wanted to Focus Sash on Urshifu, because Urshifu might get into a situation where it has to put in a lot of work. I put the Focus Sash on Zoroark instead, and we'll get to that. But Urshifu is just here to hit things hard. And Sucker Punch hopefully gives me a little bit of insurance against something like Cinderace, which is faster than Urshifu, but not especially bulky. So Urshifu, in that mode that I talked about, where I lead Flareon and Yuxi, Urshifu is here to clean up at the end. That said, I can also do a fast offensive game plan if it feels like it fits the moment, or just to, you know, depending on what my opponent actually has, or just to mix things up if, after game one. So I brought Noivern to set Tailwind, so that my team is a little stronger into my opponent's fast Sun mode. Safety Goggles, so that Lilligant can't stop it. Terra Ghost for Meowth's Fake Out. Frisk is just a nice ability, I think. And the other thing is, Noivern was actually the second Pokemon that I decided on after Flareon for this matchup, because both Flying and Dragon-type attacks are pretty strong into my opponent's team. They don't have a lot for either one of those, at least before they Terrastalize something. So maybe I could have gone more offensive with Noivern, but I figured what I really wanted from it here was Tailwind. But Air Slash is still pretty spammable into my opponent's team in certain situations, and Draco Meteor should be able to get off a strong hit into something. And I compare that with Hisuian Zoroark. Again, I don't have the most specific role in mind for Hisuian Zoroark, and this is another Pokemon that I considered dropping for Quillfish. But it's just here to pair with Noivern to hit things quickly. With probably with Urshifu in the back, but we'll see. So Hisuian Zoroark, I've got Hyper Voice, Bitter Malice, Taunt, and Protect. Bitter Malice can actually help me with their physical attackers. It lowers their attack. While also, why did I go with Bitter Malice instead of Will-O-Wisp? I think I liked Ghost attacks in this matchup. Or I think I liked the combination of Ghost and Normal. Those two types together are strong here. Pair it with Hyper Voice. Taunt is another way of stopping Trick Room. It obviously is thwarted by Mental Herb, so Trick Room in Prison has that advantage over it, but in an offensive mode where I don't bring Yuxi, I at least have something available to try to stop the Trick Room, depending on what their item is, and Noivern can tell me with Frisk whether that's going to work, whether it's going to be worthwhile. So those are the two goals that I had in mind for this team. I either go bulky with Yuxi and Flareon, supported by Blissey, with Urshifu in the back providing the offense, and that probably is what I do game 1, depending on what I see at preview. Or I go offensive with Zoroark, Noivern, Urshifu, and whatever I think supports that in the back, maybe Blissey. The more I talk, the more I think that I might change Blissey to Quillfish in like the next hour before I play this game. But hey, we'll see. I'll leave you in suspense, and we'll come back when it's time to play the San Antonio Swellows. Week 1 hype. Okay, we're back, and I've stuck to my guns. Every time I thought about swapping Blissey out for long enough, eventually I got scared of like throat spray for a giraffe or something. Is that rational? I don't know, but we're going to find out. Anyway, we got the games. It's closed team sheets in this league. And what did I say? Torkoal, Cinderace. Sorry, I've been watching Wolf Glick. Skiploom. Torkoal, Cinderace, Lilligant, Farigiraf, Mudsdale, and other. There we go. So, exactly like I said in the team building part, I'm going to go Yuxi, Flareon, Blissey, Urshifu, and we'll see how it goes. So, they lead Torkoal, Lilligant. Unless they're running unusual sets, which is always possible in draft. Flareon, they just don't have much for Flareon. They also don't have much for Blissey, and Yuxi's not doing a whole lot here, so I'm going to go Blissey, and I'm going to Terastalize and get a Calm Mind. That should be pretty strong in this matchup, exactly as I intended. This is my first time doing live game commentary ever. It's possible I'm not going to know how to fill the time when my opponent is taking a while with their move, especially when I babbled on so long before I even started recording about what it was that I was going to do here. You know, I've known for days what my plan is for game 1 in this situation. Okay, we got the turn off. Lilligant goes for Protect. Get her Calm Mind. Eruption does nothing to Flareon, and not a whole lot to Blissey either. So, I think I want a Heat Wave here. I don't know my calcs with Calm Mind, but like if I get greedy, maybe they do something with Cinderace, right? Which one do I... I'm just going to Helping Hand Heat Wave. I thought about... Yeah, I'm just going to Helping Hand Heat Wave, and hopefully this will smack something hard. I suspect that at least one of these guys is switching out here. But let's see. If they have anything for Flareon, they haven't shown it yet. Heatwave should hit anything hard. I mean, Cinderace resists, obviously, but it's not the bulkiest mon, and there's Sun. So Flareon in this matchup is really paying off so far. Please hit. We missed the Cinderace. We hit the Torkoal for good damage. It has Body Press. Okay, well, that's not that unusual. I just haven't seen it in a while, and didn't think of it for that reason. What do I want to do here? The Cinderace is a giant threat. I think I'm going to protect and see what... I think I'm going to double protect and see what the Cinderace does. That also gets me a tiny bit more recovery on Flareon, but I'm a little bummed that I missed that Heat Wave, but that's what happens with Heat Wave sometimes, and I I don't know how much it does to Cinderace. I don't know what their set is. I didn't calc that anyway on any Cinderace set. But yeah, I'm just gonna scout what they do. I'm gonna kill a turn of Sun. With Cinderace in, I think the Sun helps them more than it helps me. What else? Keeping Flareon alive is I'm hesitating to say that it's important, but it might be important because the Lilligant can turn into a problem if Flareon goes down, at least while the sun is still up. And I don't know what they have in the back. I don't know that they would bring Farigiraf or Mudsdale without the other, but I also don't know that they would bring... Oh, cool. I didn't know if High Jump Kick was going to do that into a Protect. That's good to know. I don't know that they'd bring Skiploom with Lilligant, so yeah, I don't know what I'm expecting in the back. Anyway, the Cinderace is now a fighting type. Does Flareon take a high jump kick? We'll find out. Oh, we won't find out because it missed. That's unfortunate for my opponent, but good news for us. Double KO. The Life Dew feels kind of unnecessary after Flareon took no damage there, but okay, it's Mudsdale last. I feel like I can pretty much ignore the Lilligant, right? I'm gonna go back to Uxie just to like play it super safe, take advantage of Levitate. Mudsdale's probably not doing much into Uxie, and I'm just gonna Terra Blast the Mudsdale. They haven't Terra'd yet. No, they haven't Terra'd yet, right? Right. So maybe the Mudsdale's gonna whip out some crazy Terra type, or maybe the Lilligant is. But this should be a very strong position to close out game 1. I don't know what I'm gonna do in game 2. What do I want to do in game 2? Are they going to bring Trick Room stuff? Maybe I just bring the same mode. Well, how do I deal with the Cinderace? I bring Quillfish, but it's too late. I can't do that now. Do I want to do offense in game 2? Interesting. Ooh. Oh, wow. So the Lilligant did no Terra Blast. I don't know what its Terra type is. The Mudsdale terastallized. That's why my Terra Blast didn't do much. To be honest, I didn't notice that immediately. I am going to Mystical Power Mudsdale. Maybe Uxie takes a Sleep Powder here. We'll see. I'm in Mystical Power Mudsdale and Protect. Another Terra Blast. I wonder what their Terra type is. Mystical Power does big damage. Stone Edge does small damage. Mystical Power and Heat Wave seems pretty safe here. Oh, they do have After You. They get rid of Flareon, but they don't. But Uxie gets rid of Mudsdale. Uxie's now +2. I'm going to try to win this with Blissey and Uxie and not reveal that I have Urshifu in the back, because I think I might bring the same mode again in game 2. I'm still thinking about it. The Lilligant is faster than my Uxie, right? I don't think I care. I'm just gonna Mystical Power and Seismic Toss. Mystical Power. Seismic Toss. Yeah, one more round of that. We'll finish it off. It is not... It's just using Terra Blast. No Sleep Powder or anything, which makes me think it might be choiced. Would Lilligant run a choice item? Maybe so. Anyway, we take game 1 pretty handily, obviously with a lot of fortune. I don't want to sleep on that. But now we come to game 2. And I don't know what the Cinderace does to my Flareon, you know? I think I'm going to bring back the same mode again. And I can bring offense in game 3 if this goes badly. And if it goes well, then there isn't a game 3, is there? So, yeah. Strong start, but the set's not over yet. Flareon was good. They're going to have to respect it now. Terra Mudsdale was an okay answer to it, of course. Mudsdale for a giraffe is potentially a dangerous lead for me here, so they might want to go with that for that reason. I don't know what the Skiploom does. Well, I guess if the Lilligant is like Specs or something, then the Skiploom can be the support. Okay, it is Mudsdale for a giraffe, so I'm going to Imprison and Terra Calm Mind. Just as planned. The Mudsdale did a lot of damage to Flareon, so I don't know how this is actually going to turn out for me. But what are the chances that they actually do much? I mean, Birdraft can hit hard, but Yuxi, I have a lot of, I think I have max special bulk on this Yuxi. Mudsdale's stab doesn't work into Yuxi, even if it terrestrializes. We saw that it's Terra Fighting, which just puts it in a worse position against Yuxi than before. So I feel like Yuxi should be able to sit on the field for a while. But I'm actually not in the best spot if they get rid of Flareon, because my Urshifu in the back is not a great answer to Mudsdale, but Yuxi's an answer to Mudsdale. I don't know, it's going to be interesting. They're really thinking this one through. They must have game planned for the same bleed again, right? Okay, we get the Terra, we get the Imprison, Calm Mind, and they go straight for Hyper Voice. That's smart. And straight for Stone Edge. That does a lot of damage. Flareon is going to go before there, guys. It's good to keep that in mind. I'm going to Mystical Power Mudsdale and Protect. Maybe they Terra here. That would be nice. I get like a little bit of recovery on Flareon, which might get it through another turn. If they Terra Mudsdale, I don't know how much Mystical Power does, but it was doing quite a bit in game one. And then maybe Flareon can finish Mudsdale off. My guy's being faster because they can't set the Trick Room, assuming they have it. But they must, right? Well, I have my Imprison up, and I don't think they have anything to knock Yuxi out this turn. Okay, we gotta Protect. Mystical Power does less than I wanted, but it's +1 now, and I can get another one off. I mean, they could Protect Mudsdale if it has Protect. We saw Stone Edge, Close Combat. It probably has a ground attack. It might have Protect. But I am just going to Heat Wave and Mystical Power the Mudsdale again. It's the biggest threat right now. I'm going to try to get rid of it. Mystical Power does a lot. Heat Wave doesn't KO. Hyper Voice is starting to wear my guys down, but we get the Citrus Berry, and okay, we lose Flareon. That makes things a little more dicey, for sure. I'm gonna go Urshifu here. I can just Mystical Power and Wicked Blow. If they stay in, these guys both drop, I think. I doubt that this is taking a Wicked Blow. And they have nothing to safely switch in on either of those. Yuxi's already +2. Oh, an Ally Switch! That's cool, but the Mudsdale goes down anyway. They get their Torkoal in. I kind of want a Mystical Power and Protect. Mystical Power, Torkoal, and Detect. Yeah, let's do that. And then I might go Blissey after this. And just stall things out a little more. Or Mystical Power can crit. And we can get rid of Torkoal right there. And feel kind of silly that we didn't just attack for a giraffe. Okay, last is Cinderace, though. And that's a giant threat. I totally can lose to Cinderace from here. But Cinderace can only attack one of my guys this turn. So I think if I double into it, the Giraffe has Dazzling Gleam, right? Yeah. If they protect Cinderace, I'm in trouble. But they haven't been protecting things lately, and I just used Detect with Urshifu. I could go Blissey here. I think offensive pressure is my best play. I think I need to double attack into Cinderace, hoping that it won't protect, and that at least one of my guys will actually get an attack off. So I'm going to Mystical Power, and I'm going to not Wicked Blow. I'm going to Sucker Punch the Cinderace. I forgot about Armor Tail. Pro Game Remove. And actually take a Pyro Ball. So I could have, done a different play. I could have made a different play. Okay, we might lose game 2. Gonna double protect. Stall out a Sun Turn and see what they do. I might have just thrown with that Sucker Punch. I talked about Armor Tail in the builder, and I forgot. This is why this team is scary, This is Sunroom. This is obviously the Pokemon choices are a little wonky because it's draft, but this is just about a real VGC team. Do you think the Cinderace is choiced? You know what? I actually still think I win this. Well, I think if it comes down to a Uxie for a Giraffe 1v1, I might lose that. Although my special attack is high. But I think if they KO Uxie, I can probably get rid of the Cinderace with Seismic Toss, and then I think Blissey beats for a Giraffe. Let's find out. Oh, they did an ally switch, and they missed high jump kick again. I cannot believe how unlucky my opponent has been this game. Oh my god. GG's. I don't even know what to say. Sorry. Sorry for all the hacks. What else can I even say? They missed every high jump kick. I guess it was only 2 because the third one was into a protect. The first one was into a protect, but anyway, it might not have been as clean as I wanted, and I'll have to take some lessons from this going forward in the season, but we've done it. We've won week 1. We're 1-0. I don't remember who the opponent is next week, but check back for more exciting adventures with the Halifax Masquerainmen.